Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we're looking at issue 50 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine, which came with the second set of parts to finish our Ork Deff Dread and complete the standard Ork Combat Patrol as well. We'll be looking at its painting guide and then its rules, which we'll be using in our game to try and destroy as much as possible. Inside our issue, we have the painting guide for the Deff Dread. The build instructions, of course, came in the previous issue, starting with an all-over base coat of Abaddon black, and then a lot of lead belcher because it's a big mechanical Stompy thing, so it has lots of metal parts. But if you gave it the big skull faceplate, you'll probably want to paint that with Corax white, and then using Avalon Sunset and Mephiston red for a lot of details, shading lots of it with Nuln Oil, and then also Aggregate Earthshade, and as with a lot of other orcs, shading some of the metal parts with Aggregate Earthshade instead of Nuln Oil, just to give them a slightly different tone. And then highlighting the white parts with Corax White, all the metal parts with Stormhost Silver, including the rivets and nuts and bolts that stick out from some of the black armour as well, and then giving it a base to match the rest of your collection. And there it is, painted up almost to completion at this point. Then we have some background on orc culture, explaining how Greenskin society works. All orcs belong to a tribe, which is basically just a collection of orcs that are united under a bigger orc who is in charge. But all orcs also tend to belong to something called a clan, which is a sort of cross-tribal grouping of orcs who have similar interests or similar outlooks on life. And so a single tribe might be all from one clan, but a larger one might incorporate elements of several clans have all banded together. It also mentions orc currency. Orcs use teeth as their method of paying for things, which are literally their teeth that naturally fall out or get smashed out. And the orc dressed in yellow here is from the Bad Moons clan, who tend to be the richest of the orcs because their teeth grow the fastest. And a bit more on orc technology. The orcs themselves don't really care how it works, but Imperial scholars who've studied orc technology are often baffled as to how it works. Some of them even speculate that it works simply because the orcs believe it should work. And orcs also place great store in the power of colour. For example, in orc thought, red things go faster, and so they paint a fast vehicle red, which can alarmingly sometimes mean it does actually physically travel faster. Yellow signifies wealth, and so the richest orcs tend to use that colour. Blue is a lucky colour, and so particularly those orcs who enjoy looting like to use blue as a colour because they think that gives the best chance of finding the best loot before anyone else. Green is of course the best colour because orcs is green, so painting yourself or your vehicle green is clearly just to demonstrate your superiority. And purple is considered a sneaky colour because you've never seen a purple orc, have you? No, exactly. Then we learn about one of the orc clans, the Goths, in some ways the most straightforward because they consider themselves the biggest, baddest orcs who just enjoy a good scrap and consider anything more complicated, like complicated guns or battle plans, to be un-orky and inferior to just giving someone a good whacking. They dress predominantly in black, being a no-nonsense colour, though sometimes with white and red detailing to make them look more fearsome. And their attitude to technology is generally that if it doesn't help you kill something better, it's not worth doing. They consider themselves the orkiest of orcs. And we have a bit about the biggest, baddest goth of all, Ghazghkull Thraka, the Grand Warlord. One of the most powerful orcs ever to exist, certainly in the 41st millennium, the most fearsome. Was once a lowly orc warrior until a bolt round to the head blew most of his brains out, and after reconstruction on the doctor's table, developed something rare among orcs, namely vision, seeing himself as the appointed prophet of Gork and Mork to lead the orcs in a great Waaagh across the galaxy, and as such has amassed the largest of the so-called Waaghs in the galaxy, part holy war, part migration, and part just a lot of orcs looking for a big scrap. And because Ghazghkull is the biggest, baddest orc, he attracts the most orcs to come and fight with him. It also mentions his faithful servant Makari, his lucky banner waver. He has a reputation for being extremely lucky, though it's not clear whether Makari is in fact a single Gretchen or just quietly replaced every time he dies before Ghazghkull actually notices. And finally we have a short story in which a ship of the Leagues of Votan, whose combat patrol will be starting soon, is attacked and boarded by an orc vessel. But that's it for the contents of the issue, so I'll hand you back to Mike, who will be looking at the rules for the Ork Deff Dread and then seeing how much it can kill in our game.
So as usual, we have to look back into the previous issue to look at the datasheet for our new Deff Dread. So you can see it's got an 8-inch move, toughness 9 with a 2+ armour save and a 6+ invulnerable save with 8 wounds, leadership 7 and OC of 3. It's got one ranged weapon, it's got a rocket launcher, which is the same as the rocket launcher that the boys have. And for its melee weapons, it has the Dread Claw, which has the Dead Choppy keyword, which is unique to the Deff Dread. So it starts with 4 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 10, AP -2 with 3 damage, but it has 1 additional attack for each additional Dread Claw the model has. So it has 3 Dread Claws in total, giving it a total of 6 attacks. And for its abilities, it has Deadly Demise 1, the Ork Waaagh faction rule, and its datasheet rule is Piston Driven Brutality, where at the start of the fight phase, each enemy unit within engagement range of the Deff Dread must make a Batroc test. And then down below it just explains the Dead Choppy rule again. And back to the current issue, we actually have the overview of the Orks Combat Patrol, or Gordrang's Git Stompers as they're called, and this goes over what's in the Combat Patrol, and incidentally this is where it specifically states that the Deff Dread has a rocket launcher and 3 dread claws. You would have built it like that if you followed the build guide, but this is where it actually says what it's equipped with, and over the page is a nice image of the Combat Patrol together. And then we can get into today's game, something Stompy This Way Comes, where we'll be testing out a new Deff Dread. So you can see the battle mat is battle mat 3 with the Deff Dread on one hand of the board and the opposition deployment zone. And this mission is going to be very familiar to those of you who have seen the video where we introduced the Hellbrute, because it's basically the same thing. So the Orcs player has the Deff Dread, and the opposition player gets a variety of units. But you can see here there are 10 stages, and each time an opposition unit is destroyed, the game advances to the next stage, and the next unit is deployed in the opposition player's command phase to replace any units that were destroyed, and if it destroys 2 units in a single turn, the game advances by 2 stages. So stage 1 is 3 Legionaries and 5 Termagants, stage 2 is a Von Ryan's Leaper, stage 3 is a Terminator, 4 is 2 Wind Riders, 5 the Tyranid Prime, 6 the Dark Apostle and his 2 friends, 7 the Captain in Terminator armor, 8 the Wraith Lord, 9 the Psychophage, and 10 the Hellbrute, fittingly. And there is a score tracker. Basically, the higher the stage the Deff Dread reaches, the more points the Orc player gets. Basically, if they get to stage 6, the Deff Dread wins. And then it goes over some of the Deff Dread's rules. So we've got Dead Choppy again. So once again, it has a base attack characteristic of 4, but it has 2 extra claws, so it has 6. Piston-driven brutality, where if things are in melee with it, they have to take battle test. And then it goes over blast again. The rocket launcher is exactly the same as the ones that the boys and the Death Copters have. And then it has the outcomes whether the Deff Dread won or lost, although really, considering it's an Orc pilot, he probably wins either way, to be honest. So we'll get the board set up and get straight into the game. So here we are set up, and we've got our Termagants and Legionaries, and I did roll off randomly for the Legionaries, and we've got the Champion, the Melter Gun and a Chainsword Man, and the 5 Termagants, not really sure what they're going to do against the Deff Dread. And so we can have a closer look at Stompy here. So you can see he's got his 3 Dread Claws and his rocket launcher. He doesn't say who goes first, so I guess we'll be rolling off. So rolling off to see who goes first. Well, the Deff Dread gets to go first. There's no battle round limit, so into Deff Dread turn 1.
Well, turn 1 we're just going to stomp towards those Legionaries, because that Melter Gun is the only thing that can scratch it really in this set of opponents. Now we can shoot some rockets at them as well. D3 shots. 2, which hit on 5s. Oh, it did actually hit one. It wounds on a 2 because it's strength 9. That's a wound at -2.
So 5 plus armor save. No.
Blows one up. And then we'll declare a charge, and we'll need a 9. Oh, it's 10.
He's in. So at the start of the fight phase, the Legionaries are in combat with the Deff Dread, so they have to make a battle test as per its piston-driven brutality rule, and they succeeded with a 7.
Then it has 6 attacks, because once again the 3 claws give it 6 attacks that hit on 3s. 4 hits, and strength 10, so these wound on 2s. They all wound, and they are also AP -2, 3 damage apiece.
So 5s to survive. No, failed 3, so the Marines are killed. So at the start of the opposition command phase, the stage advances, so a Von Ryan's Leaper appears. I'm just going to put it 9 inches away from the Deff Dread. So the Leaper is just going to go an inch away from the Deff Dread, while the Termagants advanced, going to try and get the Deff Dread to chase after them. And they'll put some shots into it. 5 shots hitting on 4s, getting 1. Wounds on a 5. Oh, it does!
2 plus save. Made it.
And also the Leaper will charge the Dreadnought. Hey, it's in. So first off, the Leaper has to make a battle shock test, which it succeeded, because I think it's Leadership... No, I think it's Leadership 8, so I think it failed, but I'm not really sure how relevant that's going to be. 6 attacks on 3s, getting 5. Wounding on 5s, because it's strength 5. Ooh, 3 wounds, at AP -1, I believe.
So 3s. Oh, it actually took all damage. It's down to 7 wounds remaining. And the Deff Dread gets to strike back. 6 attacks on 3s. 5 hits. Still wounding on 2s because it's strength 10. 4 wounds.
All 6s to live? No. Goodbye, Leaper.
The stage does advance now, but the new unit doesn't appear till the opposition turn, so the Deff Dread is going to go Termagant hunting and shoot some rockets on the way in. D3 plus 1 shots because it is blast and there are 5 of them. Or 4. 5s to hit. 1. And a 2 to kill, because it will bypass their save. Oh no, it didn't. It rolled a 1. And then it charged it. It got in with an 8.
I will roll their leadership. We probably won't show it later on, because I'm probably not going to fall back. But I probably might fill the Termagants back, but they're fine.
Then the Deff Dread has 6 attacks on 3s. It's getting only 3 hits, so it can't kill all of them. It does kill 3 of them though.
And we'll just roll the 2 remaining hitbacks. Get a hit. Wounds on a 6. New. So in the opposition command phase, a Terminator arrives. We've just gone for a regular Terminator with a Power Fist, no assault cannon. Technically, the Terminates have to make a battle shock test again, and they're fine. So, in my movement, Terminates are going to fall back while the Terminator is going to move towards the Deff Dread. He might as well plink some shots into it with his Storm Bolter, hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits, wounding on 6s. Oh, we got a wound.
2+ save. Saved.
And then the Terminator will charge, and he's in. Terminator might be battle shocked, which he is. Very spooked by the Deff Dread. But he's got 3 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 2. Strength 8, so 5s to wound. Nope.
And 6 attacks in return on 3s. Try and get them all in the box. Only 3 hits. Still 2s to wound. Yes. 3 damage, so it has to make all its saves.
With 4+ invulnerable. Oh, failed 1. So back to the Deff Dread's turn.
I'm actually not going to move because the Termagants could reactive move and probably get further away than they actually are currently if I move up towards them. So I'm just going to shoot rockets and then charge. Rockets twice, hitting on 5s, nope, and then a charge roll. I think it's possibly in. So it's in. We won't bother with the battle shock test because hopefully, well, with 3 1s, actually it might not kill them all. It just needs to roll 2 2s, just about.
So on to opposition turn, the Deff Dread killed 2 units in its turn, so the next 2 stages appear. So we have the Tyrannid Prime and 2 Wind Riders. We've got one with a scatter laser and one without. So the only movement really is going to be the Tyrannid Prime is going to move an inch away, and then the Wind Riders will shoot at the Deff Dread. So Wind Riders shooting, 6 shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, because the Deff Dread is the closest enemy target. Good job we can reroll 1s. Yeah, this is with the scatter laser. 4 hits, wounding on 5s, because it's strength 5. 1 wound with no AP.
2. Yep.
2 shots with the Shuriken Catapult. That hit. Wounding on 6s, but re-rolling because of Twin Linked. Nope. And then the only charge is going to be the Tyrannid Prime. Oh, and it's in with an 8. So the Tyrannid Prime, easily in. It has 6 attacks on 2s. They all hit. Wounding on 5s because it's strength 6. That's 1 wound at AP -1.
3+. Made it. And then 6 attacks on 3s, 5 hits. Still only toughness 5, so 2 to wound with strength 10. They all wound at -2.
So it's 5, 6s to save. Oh, he made 3, but that's still enough to survive it. Takes 6 damage and dies.
Back to the Deff Dread turn. Just going to move towards those Wind Riders and shoot some rockets at them. D3 of them, 2 on 5s. Nope. And then it'll charge them. 9 should be good. So that does make it in. Might want to take battle shock test for these because if one survives, they probably would want to fall back, and that might matter.
8 is fine.
They're fine anyway. And then their attack, it's on them from the Deff Dread rather. 4 hits, 2s to wound, 4 of those.
5+ saves. Failed 3, so they're all dead. Stage 4 and 5 are done. We're on to stage 6 and 7 at the same time. And the team up of the century, it's a Terminator Captain and a Dark Apostle. And I see they've already moved in because they're going to have to try and beat the thing in melee. Might as well shoot our guns on the way in. We got 4 Storm Bolter shots from the Captain on 2s. And 3 and 6s. Ooh, 2 wounds.
Double 6 to save.
And a bolt pistol. Missed. Charges. The Dark Apostle is in. The Captain is also in. So there we are. Turn the Deff Dread around so it's facing the right way. Do the Captain's attacks first. 6 attacks on 2s. They will hit. Wounding on 5s because he's strength 5. He got 1 at -2.
So a 4+ to save this. No, that is another 2 damage going through. It's down to 5 wounds.
And the Dark Apostle and his 2 friends. I'll do his 2 friends because you never know. Hitting on 4s. Got a hit. Wounds on a 6. Oh, close. And then the Dark Apostle himself. 5 attacks on 2s. Hitting 4. And wounding on 5s. Ooh, 2 wounds at AP1.
So 3s. Oh dear, double 1.
So that's 2 damage each.
Down to 1 wound remaining. The Deff Dread is going to attack the Dark Apostle because the Dark Apostle is a stage 6 enemy and it needs to complete stage 6 to get enough points to win the game. So we'll prioritise him over the Captain with 6 attacks on 3s, 4 hits, still 2s to wound. They all wound.
So we've got the 2 friends with the 4+ invulnerable. 1 is still alive, and then he's dead. And then the Dark Apostle himself is fine. So that's the end of the opposition turn. It's on to the Orcs' turn.
Yeah, I can't shoot my rockets in combat because it's a blast weapon, so we're straight to the fight phase where one of the 2 characters gets to go. Technically I have to make a battle shock test though, and it fails. It's leadership 7. It's not going to matter, but you never know.
I'll do the Captain first because he's got more attacks. 6 attacks on 2s. They all hit. And 5s. All 4 wounds at AP -2.
So to pass all the saves to live? No, it does go down. It does have deadly demise though, does it blow up? No.
So the Deff Dread goes down. It's a bit weirdly worded. It's not clear what stage the Orks actually got to. It destroyed up to stage 5, with 6 and 7 being on the board, but it didn't destroy either of those, so...
But it also says that it's the stage it advances to, so has it advanced to stage 7 at this point? It's kind of hard to figure out exactly what they mean, but anyway.
Yeah, so it's either a win or a loss. I think the Ork wins either way, to be perfectly honest, because he had a big fight. But I guess what we'll do is we'll do the remaining 3 matchups, just do them 1v1, just to see how the Deff Dread compares to the Psychophage, the Hellbrute, and the Wraithlord. So first up is the Wraithlord. What we'll do for each 1v1 is we'll roll off to see which one gets to go first. So Wraithlord gets a 4, Deff Dread gets a 5, so the Ork is going first.
Nothing clever here, just going to make a beeline for the big jumped up statue and shoot some rockets. D3 shots, 3. Get a hit. Still only a 5 to wound though, because Wraithlord is very tough. Nope. And then a charge. It's in with a 6.
Leash it bad for the Wraithlord. Oh, it's spooked.
And then 6 attacks on 3s. Only 3 hits, and it actually wins on 5s because it's strength 10, but Wraithlord is toughness 11. So only 1 wound.
2 plus goes to a 4 plus. Made the save. So Wraithlord gets the hit back. We'll use the strike profile, so it's 4 attacks hitting on 4s. It gets 1. Strength 10 though, so we're on a 3. Yes. AP minus 3.
So 5 to save. Nope.
D6 plus 2 damage. 4. So it's only 3 damage. And then we're on to the Wraithlord's turn where it can actually shoot in combat, although it minus 1 to hit. Shuriken catapults. 4 shots on 5s. We got a hit. Wounds on a 6. Nope. And the Bright Lance. Missed. And then in the fight phase, the Ork gets to go first, and the Wraithlord would become unbattle shocked, and then is not battle shocked.
3s to hit. 4 hits this time. 5s to wound though, still only 1.
With the 4 plus. Fine. Hitbacks. Hits twice. Wounds on 3s. Wounds twice.
5s to save. Oh, make both.
Oh.
Yeah, then I guess we're straight back to the Ork turn.
Where the Wraithlord gets to go first. 4 attacks on 4s. 2 hits again. And wounded twice.
Oh, saved 1 of them, but it's got 5 wounds.
D6 plus 1. Oh, 6 damage.
Does it blow up? No.
Now it's the Psychophage's turn. Once again, we'll roll off to see who gets to go first. It's a draw. I'll try again. Oh, the Orks get to go first again.
Well, straight towards the Psychophage again, obviously. There's nothing else to do. And D3 rockets, 3 again. And got a hit. 4 to wound this time. Nope. And a charge.
You're in.
Won't worry about its battle shock test. So we'll just go straight to the attacks. Only 3 hits. 3s to wound now, though. Oh, only 1.
5 plus armor save. Failed. Then it's got feel no pain against the 3 damage. And ignored 2, so it's down to 9 wounds. And then D6 plus 1 attacks for 5. Hitting on 3s at the moment for 3. And then wounding on 5s. 2 wounds at AP minus 1.
3s. Saved.
Then the Psychophage's turn, it can barf on the Deff Dread. D6 automatic hits. 5. Wounding on 5s. 3 at AP minus 1.
3s to save. Made them. And then the Deff Dread gets to fight first because it's the Tyrannid turn. Still can only manage 3 hits. And 3 wounds this time though.
5 plus armor. Made 1. Feel no pains for the 6 damage. Ignored 2, so it's taken 4 damage and it's down to 5. D6 plus 1 attacks on the Psychophage for 3. And 3s. Oh, triple 1. It's the Ork turn, so the Psychophage goes again. Gets 4 attacks. Hits 3 times. When you're on 5s, gets 1 at AP minus 1.
Saved again, and then 6 attacks in return. 4 hits. But only 1 wound.
5 plus armor. Nope. 5 plus feel no pain. Ignored 1, so it's down to 3. And then it's the Psychophage's turn, so it barfs on the Deff Dread 3 times. And doesn't wound.
Then the Deff Dread attacks. 4 hits again. 3s to wound, 3.
5 plus. Made 2. Feel no pain. Ignored 1. Still there on 1 wound. Can it do some damage? It's got 6 attacks. Getting 5 hits. And no wounds. And then it's the Ork turn, so it immediately goes again for 7 attacks. 4 hits. 2 wounds at AP minus 1.
Still can't fail to save.
Very long clip of dice rolling there, but the Deff Dread gets to fight next with the Psychophage just on 1 wound.
4 hits and 3 wounds.
5 plus save. Heat 2. Gonna make all the feel no pains. Oh, it only failed 1, but that's just enough to bring it down. But it blows up.
So the Deff Dread actually takes a wound right at the end.
Now it's the tiebreaker with Deff Dread versus Hellbrute. We'll be rolling elf once again. Orks get to go first.
Well, we're just going straight in, there's no point even showing it. D3 rockets, 2, and they don't hit, and then it gets a 5-inch charge, which I think is just about.
So Big Red Lad versus Big Red Lad. Deff Dread going first.
On 3s. Only 3 hits. Sort of struggling with the first round of attacks generally. All the 3 wounds though.
Oh yeah, they might kill it in one go. 4 plus saves. It failed 2, so the Hellbrute is down to 2 straight away. 5 attacks back on 4s. Getting 2. Strength 14 though, so 3s. Come on, Hellbrute. Ugh, he brought his rubber hammer today.
Well, it is the Hellbrute's turn next.
But he can't shoot because it's got a blast weapon.
So the Deff Dread gets to go first again. Although it can only hit once. Well, that's a terrible roll. Did wound.
4 plus armour. No, the Hellbrute dies. And blows up. So Hellbrute wants a rematch because he did really bad in that last game.
We'll let it go first as well.
Poor Hellbrute's quite a bit slower than the Deff Dread, unfortunately. But he actually gets to shoot its plasma gun on the way in. Plasma cannon for D3 shots. 2. Hitting on 3s. Once. Strength 8, so 5s. No. And is it hazardous? No. Hellbrute will try and charge. An 8, that will be enough. Hellbrute gets in, 5 attacks hitting on 4s. 3 hits, blimey. Wounding on 3s. 2, AP minus 3.
5 to save. No, both going through.
D6 plus 1 each. For 8.
That's enough to kill it. It only has 8 wounds. Does it blow up? No, it doesn't.
So at least the Hellbrute proved to itself that it could defeat the Deff Dread. Well, I think that's enough, and we've kind of seen what the Deff Dread is like. We'll recap all that for you now. See you in the discussion. So that was the game for issue 50 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How do you think that went?
Well, it seemed a little easier than the equivalent game for the Hellbrute, because in that one, to get past stage 6 and win, it had to beat the Wraith Lord, whereas in this, it technically had to beat the Dark Apostle. But because of the thing where it could technically advance 2 stages before anything else turned up, actually fighting 2 characters by itself was a tiny bit much when they had the 4 plus invulnerable save.
Yeah, I suspect it would easily beat both of them individually. And it was probably unlucky to fail 2 saves as well.
But equally, it hadn't accrued much damage up to that point, so I guess it could have come into that in worse state than it was previously. But otherwise, not that surprising that it's very effective against things that can't damage it.
Technically, the only outlier would be the Terminator, I think, because normally there'd be 5 of them. And with the Space Marine stratagems, they probably could hurt it quite easily. That's probably the only one that you perhaps wouldn't charge it into out of all the other options.
And of course, just like the other rocket launchers we've had, it's quite good against Marines and all things with decent save and multiple wounds, as long as it actually hits. But it's mainly the claws that you're going for, obviously, because 6 attacks hitting on 3s and then wounding most things on 2s or 3s with 3 damage apiece is quite powerful.
Plus it gets the Waaagh ability, which I believe lets you advance and charge 1 turn in the game, which is huge for it as well.
Yeah, well, and gives it +1 strength and attacks.
Yeah.
The strength is not so important, but it's yet another attack, because it already has quite a lot. Certainly has the most attacks of big things. Technically the Psychophage can have 7, but I think, as in the Hellbrute game, the Psychophage proved it's not so good against other big things. It's better against heavy infantry and things like that, which we knew that anyway.
Well, the Wraith Lord's probably a bit too tough for it. It does hit on 3s, which doesn't seem like much, but it does make it feel a lot better in combat than the Hellbrute and the Wraith Lord. It feels like it's less swingy.
But as we saw, the Hellbrute does have the sheer damage potential if it can actually hit. So, also being strength 14 with AP minus 3. The Wraith Lord is tougher, has more wounds, and also has an anti-tank weapon. So even though it's not quite so good in melee, it has that advantage going for it. So between the 3 of them, it could go either way. I think actually, yeah, the Deff Dread against the Wraith Lord is the matchup. I wouldn't bet on the Deff Dread just because it's wounding on 5s against that toughness, and the Wraith Lord has more wounds to start with as well. But otherwise, they all fulfill the same role in their respective combat patrols, and I think in the next issue we'll hopefully be able to see that, because we'll be able to play the full Orks Combat Patrol, this being the last model in the standard Ork Combat Patrol anyway.
To be honest, if I was making the Deff Dread, probably is the loadout I'd go for it, because it's probably going to be running around charging things.
Yeah, and generally because Orc shooting is bad, having more melee attacks is probably better. It is odd that the dead choppy rule for the Dread Claws is just a copy and paste from the full datasheet from the main game, where you can equip it with different weapons. For Combat Patrol, I don't know why they didn't just delete that and just give it 6 attacks, because it can never have anything other than 3 claws, so it's always going to have 6 attacks in Combat Patrol. And the way it's worded is slightly confusing, because it's 4 attacks and and then +1 for every other claw. Given that Combat Patrol is supposed to be a beginner friendly, it's just, I don't know why they didn't omit all of that. Same with its special rule, the way it's worded, it says if a unit is within range of one or more units with this rule, but if it's Combat Patrol, there's only one of them anyway.
Yeah, it would be the only one. And I'm not sure it's really that relevant of a rule.
No, it could be useful if you charge onto an objective against something that is a lower leadership, because it does mean you can probably take an objective from something you otherwise might not to. I mean, for example, a battle line unit, like the Termagants out of synapse range, charge this into them, and if you can just make them battle shocked by being in melee with them, it could actually be quite a swing in the game, depending on the points. It also has movement 8, which is better than the Hellbrute, so it can get around the board fairly speedily.
And I guess also is that its base is actually relatively small to its profile, so it's much easier to hide than you'd think it would be.
Yeah, it's the same size as the Wraithlord and the Hellbrute, even though it's arguably larger than either of those two, at least in kind of space it takes up on the table.
It's got its arms waving about. And it is a cool, very orky model. I actually prefer it without the skull mask thing it has on the issue cover.
Yeah, so do I. I guess it's designed to make it look a bit like a big orc, which is an orky thing to do as well. It's also quite characteristic of the Goth clan, which is how they tell you to paint it in the magazine, but since I'm going for a different colour scheme, I preferred this look with the bug eyes.
But anyway, I don't think there's too much more to say about this game or this issue. As always, if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. And tell us how you've been getting on with the magazine, if you've been getting it, or if you're an Orks player and you use the Deff Dread. Let us know how you get on with them. We've been the Tail Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.